All right, lads. We came back from watching Fantastic Four yesterday. Late day of work, late day, but we're finally talking about it, Gavin. And let me just tell you, not only have the superhero movies provide us with absolute gold, but Fantastic Four performed perfectly. And now I can safely say that the Marvel Universe is grounded. We're not back, but this was a great individual movie by itself. Now we have a lot of questions about, the future of the MCU going forward, but overall, they finally got the Fantastic Four right. After 3 movies before in the early 2000s, and then a mid-movie, and some would say terrible movie in 2015, they finally got the Fantastic Four right. I thought the cast performed super well together. Obviously, the theme of family worked for me a lot. I almost teared up like multiple times during this movie. But overall, it was a great movie. I want to hear your thoughts. I know we're going to probably disagree on some things, but it'll be a good talk. I'm happy. Marvel has produced back-to-back good movies, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. Let's get it, lad. What do you got to say?
I'll start with this definitely was a good movie overall. Okay? Before this movie came out, we had several long set of discussions as to how this was going to stack up compared to the larger release of Superman. Superman opened with 22.4 million on its preview day. Fantastic Four opened with 24 million on its preview day. So it actually kept up with the performance and outperformed it by a little. This being partially due to the fact that Marvel is a bigger fan base and Fantastic Four is a well-known group. But I will say that given my doubts around Pedro and some of the other casting and what they were going to do with this story, and I am going to give it the caveat, and we'll go into why later. As a standalone movie, this is a great movie. There are things that, as a part of the cinematic universe, there's little things that I didn't totally love, but as a standalone movie, this was a really, really good movie. And because I was talking smack before, I will go ahead and give my hat tip now, and we can just jump right into this. Pedro, you did an acceptable job playing Reed Richards, okay? I think that
good. I'm happy you gave him his flowers.
That's
very noble.
When you turn in a quality performance on a character that's very well known, you got to get your flowers. And he did that. I think honestly he's been a little oversaturated in the media recently, and coming in, he's not who I saw as Reed Richards, but that's not to say for the fact that Pedro, when he gets a role, he goes all in on trying to make sure that he's dedicated and putting in a performance that elevates the character, that truly honors who the character is supposed to be. I mean, he's done it in Last of Us, and there are other issues with Last of Us that made that show not as good, but you can't knock his performance in Last of Us. His performance in Last of Us is knockout, and his performance here was also exceptional. Now, for me, he doesn't stack up as one of the iconic castings like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man or Chris Hemsworth as Thor, but I'm also not at the same point when we saw the initial trailer and I went, oh man, Pedro as Mr. Fantastic? Come on. You've definitely earned your way into being Mr. Fantastic. I will give you that 100%. And hypothetically, you're going to be in quite a few more movies before you're done playing Mr. Fantastic. There's a chance that you earn your way into a Downey or a Hemsworth. But for me, you're not quite there yet. What are your thoughts?
I thought overall, I'll probably talk about overall of the cast because I'm so excited to talk about Johnny Storm, Vanessa Kirby take on Sue Storm. But I thought Pedro did a great job. I mean, I thought he was captivating. I really liked sort of the personal issues that he dove into with Reed Richards that I feel like we've gone in the past, but I don't think to the level that Pedro did it. And the cast overall, I thought worked so together with the family dynamic of it that it really elevated the story and it really elevated his character a lot. Now, I mean, me and you were talking about, we're probably not going to argue as much as we did yesterday, but when you kind of compare him to like a Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark or like Chris Hemsworth as Thor or Tom Hiddleston as Loki, those are some of the prime time casts that they have gotten absolutely correct. And I get it. As your job as a casting director, you're supposed to get it right. But people had their questions coming in. They're like, oh my goodness, Pedro Pascal, this man has been in 3 movies and like 2 TV shows this year. Get him off the screen. But I thought he performed super well. I love sort of the psychological storyline that they kind of dove into. When I know you kind of didn't like that, where they dove into what are we going to do when Galactus basically wants Franklin, and he's like, give me the boy so I can have all the cosmic power. And Reed Richards has dealt with this sort of psychological, like, I come up with usually all the answers. I have all the right answers, and I'm struggling hard with this situation. And that's when Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm, steps up. I loved Vanessa Kirby's take on Sue Storm. I thought motherhood was a huge part of this movie, and it really grabbed me for like the emotional hits, beats of this film. It was awesome. She killed it in every regard. The one particular scene I loved the most was when she had to give birth in the space scene, and Silver Surfer, that's when she's introduced, Galactus is introduced. That scene was so captivating. And also when she has to give the speech in front of the statue to the citizens it was just perfect. Her monologue was amazing. And I thought her performance was, in my opinion, the strongest of the film. Johnny Storm was electric too. I thought we can go into it like definitely more, but Johnny Storm I thought was so elevated in this movie that Joseph Quinn killed it as Johnny Storm. Now the thing kind of takes a step back a little bit, but Johnny Storm's relationship with the Silver Surfer, I thought whoever came up with that creative decision, perfect. It was perfect. Okay, especially with them doing Shalabal as the Silver Surfer and her storyline. And their connection in the film was awesome. I thought the character dynamics overall and the casting choices were perfect for this film. And I thought everyone did a great job, especially Pedro.
Fair enough. And I am with you. I think Vanessa Kirby did a fantastic job. And with a movie like Fantastic Four, family dynamic is the number one thing that you want to see come out of this movie. If you get into a movie that is, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and the Thing all being a part of a family. I mean, initially going on this outer space journey together and going through that trial together, coming back with abnormalities and working through it and continuing to be a team and do all these other things together. I want to feel that togetherness. I want to feel that family, that bond, that sort of connection that they all have. And this movie did a really exceptional job at making you feel all of those connections, making sure that everybody was connected to somebody else some way. And Johnny, for me, was one of the underrated characters of the film. I feel like he's not going to get appreciated as much as he probably should, but his character development from the beginning of the movie, where you see him as kind of just the ladies' man who doesn't bring a lot of intelligence to the board, all the way down to he's built this connection with the Silver Surfer and he's learned Shalabal's native language. I mean, he took the recordings that Reed Richards and the Thing refused to give any time to, and he not only learned how to translate the messages that were on there, but he learned how to speak the language so that way he could go and interact with her and make the winning argument that at the epilogue of the movie ends up becoming the thing that allows them to defeat Galactus properly. I mean, his influence on the story and on the film is so great that you look at it and you go, you can't not talk about Johnny Storm. And
go ahead. I thought that was one of the strongest moments of the movie was when Johnny Storm has this great conversation with Silver Surfer. And I just want to point out, this is what Marvel has been missing. These sort of like personal connections with their characters to where you literally care about like their relationship. By the time that happens, I'm not only caring, and they did a great job of transitioning that with Silver Surfer's backstory. And they have this great relatable moment, and where Johnny Storm is about to like sacrifice himself instead of Franklin. It's just amazing. And I wanted to highlight that part of the story because, in my opinion, people have been asking more like I think the writing has been meh. It's been joke here, joke there for Marvel. That type of stuff, especially with a character like Johnny Storm, who's supposed to be sort of this comedic character, especially with the renditions of the character in previous Fantastic Fours, to give him purpose and to give him this like emotional beat and intelligence was so powerful in the movie. And it just makes it, I think it elevates this movie so much. I love Johnny Storm's portrayal. I love Joseph Quinn's portrayal. It was awesome.
Well, and not only that, let's not discount the fact that there were comedic moments in this movie. I mean, this movie isn't dead serious the whole way through. They did an awesome job of weaving in comedy. I mean, when you've got Ebon walking the streets and he's standing outside the school and the kids are all screaming at him, lift up the car, and he's like, oh, I can't lift it up. I can't lift it up. And then lifts it up over his head with no big deal. And then, the one little kid at the front's like, throw the car. And he like pretends to throw the car and they all like jump back and they're like, oh my gosh. Like, there are very entertaining, funny moments in this movie, but they've found a good way to be able to, instead of just popping them in there to go, ooh, hey, comedic relief whenever we feel like it, is timing them out and having that proper placement for them. So that way, when you're feeling the things that you need to in this movie, you get to feel the emotional weight of those moments. But when you're in a lighter moment, there are still funny and entertaining moments that happen. But then you get to feel the total expanse of the story as opposed to just these little things here and there. And I think that's part of what makes Johnny's character so good, is that he's there for a lot of the comedic relief, but he's also there in those big moments. I mean, when he lifts up his little watch communication and just says, tell Franklin Uncle Johnny loves him, and then goes barreling towards Galactus.
It's such a great moment.
It might be the moment of the film. Then Silver Surfer coming out from behind him, knocking him out of the way and making that sacrifice because of what Johnny said to her about her past, and having that conversation, putting in that work, it becomes an even bigger moment because it just summarizes everything that he's done to be able to help get them there. So I think they've done a really good job. And this is where that storytelling, like you said, gets good again. It makes me care about the characters. It makes me care about what's going on in the story instead of, let's just get through all this stuff so I can watch him fight the big bad guy with the big shiny head and the eyes and whatever, and just make it look cool. No, because now I care about what happens leading up to that point, and I want to care about the characters, and they did a really good job of doing that. The one character in the group, unfortunately, and I just mentioned him, that I think didn't get quite enough of a moment is Ebon. Okay? It's the Fantastic Four,
I feel you.
Not the Fantastic Three. And you had tons of good moments with Reed Richards, tons of good moments with Sue Storm. In my favorite character of the entire movie, Johnny Storm, was electric through the whole thing. Yeah. And the moment that I just described with Ebon lifting up the car, is probably his most notable moment of the entire film, which is not great because he also
Johnny Storm riding on his back with a beard.
Right. It's
and
clobbering time.
He's like clobbering time. That was
it
pretty
was sick, but it's also like one of those comedic moments that you throw in there during a difficult moment to kind of like ease the tension of everything that's going on. And in the comics, he is one of the most intelligent parts of that group. And I like that they gave Johnny this extra intelligence and this extra story. And I love that they focused on Sue as an amazing mother. And I don't love that they focused on Reed Richards basically turning into mildly a psychopath to solve problems. But I'll get into that more later. But you got plenty of focus on him. And Eban was the only guy who played a character that didn't get any kind of particular focus, except he's got a crush on a school teacher who also works at a Jewish church. Man, and that's like
he's dealing
about
with
the
beard.
Thing.
He's dealing with a beard.
Oh, I'm sorry. And he grew a beard. As a beard grower, I'm telling you, that's not enough as far as a personality goes. Okay? You can't just have a beard and have that be your personality. That's not the way that works.
I feel you.
I wish we got more of him. I wish we got more of his intelligence. And I wish that he was given as much time and attention as the other three characters. And 4 characters with that much dedication is difficult in a movie. But if you got 3, I wanted to see 4. And it's the Fantastic Four. So I think that's my only gripe about the characters in this movie outside of Pedro's, which we'll come back to.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think what also carries this movie is motive and stakes. Like, that's like the biggest thing for me. I mean, when Galactus, from what I've watched, and like kind of preparing for this movie, I kind of suspected that this was going to happen. But the fact that Franklin was such a prevalent part of this movie, it just pushes it forward so much and made me care. I mean, Galactus, like, immediately going for probably the most precious thing that the Fantastic Four has right now in their life is really what carries it forward. And it makes
part
Galactus,
of
like,
it being
a great
important
villain
is
as
them
well.
being such a close-knit family. Because if they weren't so close-knit, it wouldn't be equally important to all of them. But because they were so close-knit, Franklin was important to not only the parents, but also to the other 2 guys.
How about Vanessa Kirby playing a mother, though? I mean, when she was yelling at Johnny Storm, she was like, "Kill her!" And then he's like, "Wait, kill her?" Like, it's
right. Oh my gosh, what do you mean? That. No, I'm not gonna kill her. Oh dear.
It's like you're a different person now, but it almost was. It was those types of moments are what like really brought me in, and what I missed from Marvel movies in the past. That's kind of what I felt like with Thunderbolts. And I know I'm probably like the only fanboy of Thunderbolts ever, but I just really felt like that's where the writing and then the relationship and the character building like started back up in the MCU, and you get it wholeheartedly with this movie when the stakes are involved and when Franklin becomes sort of the center of the story. And not only that, the whole world is in jeopardy here. And to see the impact that it has when they announce that Galactus wants Franklin and everyone is turning on the Fantastic Four and how that brings them even closer together, it really just, I feel like it elevates the film. And I've said that like 50 times now, but at the same time, that's why I love this movie so much. Is I'm a big family person, and when you hit these like emotional tones and these characters are having great performances, I just think it works so well for the Fantastic Four, and I thought it worked well with not only Sue Storm, not only Johnny Storm, but Reed Richards as well. And the Thing does take a step back. He's not necessarily the most focused on character in this film, but in my opinion, especially, we'll talk about it too, like with the runtime, I just don't think you're gonna have enough time to like get into a ton of storylines here and flesh out a lot of characters. But I will take 3 out of the 4 characters being absolutely perfect, and then the Thing being sort of a character that wasn't bad. It wasn't bad by any means,
He
but
just
it wasn't up
included.
to the par that.
I mean,
Yeah, he just wasn't included.
wasn't a focal point. And like you said, he's not bad. He just wasn't. He wasn't present. Is the best way that I can think to describe that in short. But yeah, no, I mean, and 3 out of 4 is not bad. And the reason to go back to Reed is nothing to do with Pedro. So all you Pedro lovers out there, let's just go ahead and calm down a minute, all right?
You're a Pedro hater.
I am not. I like Pedro in plenty. And I gave him his flowers at the beginning of this, so I don't even want to hear it from you, all right? Okay, calm down. But Reed Richards basically having a storyline where Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm, his wife, has noticed that over the course of his entire life, he's being aggressively in pursuit of scientific resolution to the point where he's willing to sacrifice anything and everything up to and including their son, I think takes away from the humanity of his character a little, especially as, and this is a little bit ahead of our topic, but I'll give it away. The leader in Doomsday alongside Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Chris Hemsworth as Thor is already a god, and so his interest in keeping people alive is not as high as other humans. And then to say that the other leader opposing him on the other side of the table is going to be Reed Richards, who literally in this movie was going, yeah, I figured out 30 minutes of screen time ago that I wanted to sacrifice our son because I don't know enough about him and he scares me. And this is the logical, simple, scientific solution to this. And you want that to be the leader of the guy who's going to be leading a group of, let's go down the line of the cast list right now. Tom Holland, the 19 or 20-year-old Spider-Man. Miss Marvel, the 16-year-old high schooler. You have Miss Arrow, Haley Steinfeld, who is supposed to be about 20. You've got America Chavez, who is supposed to be about 17. And you've got potentially Sadie Sink as either Spider-Girl or Gwen Stacy or somebody like that. And you look at this group and you go, okay, so if you're setting him up to be the leader of the next Avengers group, I don't love that as a point he was willing to sacrifice his kid when most of the Avengers is going to be 20 and younger, because it's not a great look as a leader.
You're getting ridiculous now. I didn't think I was going to be like ticked off during this, but like I understand where you're coming from, where it's like, why would he do that? It probably, especially with the I don't know. I didn't read the comics, okay? But I thought that was a great character moment. I mean, he is a genius, and he struggles, and he even is open about it, that he struggles with having all the answers to a scientific point, and to like almost the last, and when you're struggling that hard where you don't know what can we do to solve this situation, and the thought runs into your head, and that's why Vanessa Kirby Sue Storm works so well, because she instantly,
what
just by their
happens
connection,
if Dr. Doom kills Vanessa Kirby?
Let's not
hold on,
get into what ifs right now, Gavin.
Let's go back and let's look at our other past great scientists, okay? Because you have Iron Man, who was the most intelligent human being on planet Earth to that time, to the point where he solved the energy crisis, the water crisis, built an army, and literally led the Avengers in 2 films when Cap went off to go hang out with his assassin buddy.
Yes,
And
but
you
he's at
also
fault
have
too.
Bruce Banner, who literally turned into a green rage monster. And their idea of balancing out morality with their intelligence was not an issue. However, being able to find correct solutions that didn't involve decisions that were morally gray or not moral was not really on the table. And now you've got the Thunderbolts who live in the morally gray.
Oh my
Sue
goodness.
Storm,
Okay.
who literally already died in this movie and got brought back to life by her cosmic eating world son. Not a great sign either. And Reed Richards, who by the end of the movie didn't learn a lesson, but seemed to only be more scared by the end of it because his cosmic world eating son brought his dead wife back to life.
You're thinking of like 50, like three or four projects down the line.
She
right
could
now.
literally
Like,
die in the next project.
Listen,
Doomsday.
okay, but at the same time, but what if she doesn't? Okay, let's just say
So
that.
we need
But
Sue
I'm
Storm
saying
to
that
handhold Reed Richards for the whole movie?
No, but it's a character developing moment, and their connection with each other helps them realize that there is other situations in the film. And just because he has this lapse of judgment or lapse of morality, like you talk about, to be honest with you, it almost makes
they
it not
went with the
necessarily
plan.
relatable, but
It wasn't a learning
what are
moment
you
for
saying?
him because they did what he said.
Yes, but no, I'm saying that this is a great character developing moment. And it is. And because they had the discussion and because she gets angry with them, in that bedroom scene where she talks about, oh, yes, I know how your mind works. And they both have this conversation, a personal conversation about how Reed Richards is as a person. I thought it was a great moment. And you can't be like, oh yeah, when we have a bunch of characters in Marvel that are 17 and 19 and 20, that they're all going to be at risk. Well, maybe they are at risk, and maybe it can be an interesting plot point down the line when he brings that up to other characters. And who knows? Maybe I think it more or less helps the story and helps the universe.
All I'm saying with that point is that I think that if we're going to be building the Avengers for the biggest threat that they've ever faced. I mean, Doctor Doom is by himself already one of the biggest threats that the Marvel universe has ever faced. And the post-credit scene, spoilers, sorry, shows Doctor Doom meeting up with Franklin Richards. So you already see Doctor Doom trying to go get the cosmic world-eating kid on his side. So Doctor Doom and a cosmic world-eating kid as a combo is not only the biggest thing that the Marvel characters have ever faced, but it's bigger than any other combined threat that they've ever faced. Thanos almost looks insignificant in comparison to this because of how powerful they are together. And for that, I'd want somebody that you look at and go, okay, a strong, well-established leader. And I don't look at the way that they've put Reed Richards' character as that leader. And I'm sorry, Chris Hemsworth, I love Thor, but I don't look at Thor as a strong, well-established leader. I mean, even Valhalla on Earth, which they tried to establish, he pawned off leadership to somebody else because he didn't want to be a leader. And you're going, these are the two guys that are going to lead, and we're not getting any other movies to develop them into more well-established leaders up until that point. Now, if you had another movie where Reed Richards and Hemsworth and other people showed up and you were able to kind of put them through some other things and establish them more as leaders instead of just jumping into Doomsday and going, okay, here we go. And all of a sudden, Thor is an awesome leader and Reed Richards has gotten past all of his stuff and he's an awesome leader. It just doesn't totally work, especially since none of these characters have even ever met each other. I mean, Fantastic Four isn't even in the correct timeline right now.
I know, but as I'm saying this as a character moment, I think it only benefits because future Like, if we're talking about future projects now down the line, it could be a huge storyline and plot point in the movie. Like, if we go into a scenario, for example, where Doctor Doom gives him an ultimatum almost, or whatever, if he has to deal with another scenario like this, then we're going to be like, oh my goodness, in the original movie, he struggled with this. Is he going to come through this time? And then it could be a very powerful moment. I understand why you don't like it, and I understand where you're coming from, where it's like we have to have sort of the Tony Stark-esque and Captain America leader, where it's like we trust them in these moments. But I personally like it because it dives more into the character and it shows that he has flaws. Not everyone is like cookie cutter perfect and like.
Well, I mean, I don't think
leader.
Captain America or Iron Man were cookie cutter perfect. I mean, they both made big mistakes, but
then why are you mad about Reed Richards?
Well, because
why are you mad about this moment?
I'm mad about the fact that he's willing to sacrifice team members, and Captain America and Iron Man were never at the point where they were willing to sacrifice friends, family members, or people that they loved at the benefit of getting what they wanted. If anything, they were only willing to sacrifice themselves in the fact that Iron Man literally almost dies in every Avengers movie trying to save everybody else.
Facts, but not everybody is the same. And I think that makes him a more like interesting and compelling character. I literally think that is one of the best character developing moments in the movie.
Well, that's not
when
right.
Sue Storm, when Sue Storm and Reed Richards like show their connection and she shows her understanding of him as a person. Like, that's a very powerful moment. And then it leads to Sue Storm having one of the best moments of the movie. Her monologue to the citizens is amazing, dude. And Reed Richards not having that moment doesn't give her the confidence or doesn't give her the action to be like, I have to take control of the situation now. And listen, man, we don't know if they're going to kill her off. But having Sue Storm and Reed Richards together in these future projects is going to be great. And it's going to lead to more great moments in the future. So, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, where it's like sacrificing a team member and then having this lapse of judgment and morality is kind of insane. And maybe he doesn't do it often in the comics. But I think when you're that smart and you're that much of a genius and they dive into the struggles that he deals with problem solving, and when he doesn't have everything figured out, he struggles with what are we going to do, and he might have a lapse in judgment and say we need to do this. I think that's great. I think that could like lead to a great character going forward, in my opinion. So it's like, I'm not going to like disagree with you wholeheartedly, but it's like, you can't be like thinking about, oh yeah, there's a bunch of teenagers on the team and how is he might sacrifice somebody. If anything, that could lead to a great moment in a movie. So I think it's a great moment. I don't think it's a bad. I don't think it's a negative on Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards.
Well, I'll respectfully disagree with you there. And a lot of this falls on Marvel's shoulders. And this is a good spin forward to, Marvel being on the right track heading into 2026. I think this movie and Thunderbolts were great iterations into the Marvel universe. They absolutely established good characters, good stories moving forward. But our next project is going to be Spider-Man 4, which comes out in July of 2026. And the project after that is Doomsday in the holiday season of 2026. So we're a full year away from our next movie. No planned TV shows in the middle. And Doomsday is confirmed to not be in anything except maybe a post-credit scene for Spider-Man, because Kevin Feige has said that Spider-Man is going to be fighting street-level crime, which I think is perfect for the reset that they did for Spider-Man. And I think that makes great sense with his character. Punisher is going to be in it. Sadie Sink's going to be in it. And Tom Holland's fantastic as Spider-Man. So a great movie to spin that next trilogy forward. But you have just that and Doomsday. What are your thoughts on that lineup, especially given the fact that both Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are such good movies?
I mean, listen, I personally am just looking at this going forward as they went back to back, okay? And we have to take that as a positive, all right? Now, the Infinity Saga had so much setup and so much buildup to the point, and they executed on it perfectly, like 10 years worth of content, and then they ended up executing it masterfully. I don't think we're obviously going to get that with Avengers Doomsday. Okay, there's not going to be a lot of setup. There's not going to be a lot of build, and they're going to have to introduce a lot of characters. And it's kind of a lot of people are throwing around. We haven't seen a lot
we
of
haven't
characters
seen X-Men yet. We've heard that X-Men was going to be there since the Marvels movie, and we haven't seen them at all.
And so they're in a difficult spot. But I am positive going forward with the direction they're taking and how much they're focusing on the quality of the movies, that they're going to be able to pull it off. And I get it. They don't have a lot of projects, okay? But in a lot of scenarios, in a perfect world, I wish they would have 3 projects a year. I wish they could set everything up. I wish the previous projects really did a great job and introduced a lot of new characters that everyone was bought into. But maybe, just maybe, if they can pull off Avengers Doomsday and have it be a good setup for Secret Wars, then we're in a good spot. But I'm just looking at this from a perspective of they are focusing so much on the quality right now, and they are doing a great job at casting characters, and they're doing a great job at character development, that I think they can pull this off. I am so confident in Spider-Man Brand New Day that it's going to be good, and they're going to make a ton of money off of that just because it's Tom Holland Spider-Man, and people are going to go to the theaters to see that. That's going to be a very almost like Avengers premiere, where they're going to get a ton of, almost like $1 billion. It's going to be close to $1 billion no matter what, in my opinion. Unless the reviews absolutely bomb and hate it. But with the characters that they've introduced, I think they're going to knock it out of the park. The fact that Fantastic Four did good and they're going to make a profit off of this, and people are actually having an envision of going forward that they have 2 groups of characters that people like in the Thunderbolts and in the Fantastic Four, I think they're going to be able to build off that. But I'm not going to say that they're in a great spot, but they're grounded now. And they can come up with a plan to execute Doomsday. They have the Russo brothers who execute Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, which is obviously one of the best Marvel movies of all time. But if they are able to somehow pull off this Avengers Doomsday and introduce a lot of, there's a ton of characters. It's kind of insane what they're doing right now. It's, thinking about it kind of gets me nervous. But at the same time, I think they can pull it off. And I think they don't have as many projects as they did in the past with Infinity Saga that set up Doomsday. But I think with a hard reset, they could pull it off. I think Avengers Doomsday, as long as it's a good movie and there's direction and they don't go overboard with it, I think they just have to keep everything simple and we'll be good. But I do see your complaints. Yeah,
I think my tagline for it is I just want a little more. And I'll bring this back to Fantastic Four. The runtime for this is not a minute. That would be way too short. 1 hour 55. If it's a minute long, I'm leaving the theater before the minute's up. That would be insulting. It's 1 hour 55. Now, I'm not telling you that, as a Marvel fan, I need 3-hour movies every movie, because that's ridiculous. We don't need 3-hour runtimes every movie. But
yeah,
a couple of things that you could have added with 20 to 30 extra minutes. I think you could have dived a little bit deeper into the Thing's character. I think we also could have spent 5 to 10 minutes watching Franklin Richards grow up. I think we also could have spent a little bit of extra time seeing not the origin of Fantastic Four like we discussed yesterday, but the beginning of them being Earth's superheroes for 828 for that particular timeline. I would have liked to see some of their other foes in a little bit more depth and some things like that. Not a ton, but you throw me 5 or 10 extra minutes there and you get to build a little bit more of that connection to them as a team. Now you look at a movie that's 2 hours and 15, maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes. And that's still not a huge runtime, but I think that it adds a couple of those things to the movie that I feel like I'm kind of missing out on that weren't deal breakers by any stretch of the imagination, because the movie was great even without those things. But I think it goes from great to phenomenal with the addition of those things. And I'm sure that they filmed some of them even, and I wouldn't hate seeing a director's cut come out that is that 2 hour, 20-minute runtime where we get to see a couple of those things fleshed out a little bit more. And now I'm going to spin that forward to the Marvel Universe. When I was a teenager and these movies were coming out, it was movies that you got to see in the spring, the summer, and the winter. Every spring around my birthday, there was a movie to go see. So we went to go see it. And that's honestly what I did for a lot of my birthdays, was go see the next big Marvel movie. And then there was a huge blockbuster film that came out over the summer and we were super excited. So we went to go and see that. And then every Christmas or around Christmas, there was another big Marvel movie. And usually it was an Avengers film like Doomsday Upcoming. And so you'd go and see that. And if there wasn't a movie, there was a TV show or something to sort of subsidize it with. And you have so many characters that are going into Doomsday. Not to say that you aren't able to do Doomsday well if we don't get movies or TV shows for these characters, but I think that we would get to know them a lot better and be a lot more excited to see a lot of them if we got to see some of them, even just a little. 6-episode miniseries, no season 2, no nothing like that. A miniseries before we get Doomsday. I would love an X-Men introduction. We've been waiting for proper Marvel X-Men for, 12 years. And not for nothing, Hugh Jackman and the lot did an amazing job with Sony. Those movies, or at least the old ones, were really great. And Hugh Jackman did an amazing job playing Wolverine. But we got teased X-Men in the Marvel's movies back in whatever it was, 2021. It's been 4 years and we haven't gotten to see anything from them. I haven't seen Doctor Strange since like 2019. What happened to that guy? I would love to see Doctor Strange in literally anything. The Shang-Chi movie, I want to see where his character's going. And we've played around with the fact that there is a sequel coming. Maybe, maybe not. Blade is supposed to be a part of this group and he still is not on the table. Deadpool could potentially show up in this movie and we have no idea where he is. Like, I don't need 3 projects every summer because like you said, they're taking time to focus on quality instead of quantity. And I like that because the quality we've been getting is way better than the Marvels. Sorry, Marvels, your movie wasn't awesome. It wasn't. But I need a few more because looking at it now going like Fantastic Four was amazing. And now I have to wait a full calendar year until I get to see something else from your universe. No, I like these characters. You guys are making good characters. You're casting good people. You're telling great stories. I want to keep being a part of these stories. And when I get to Doomsday, if we show up and there's 12 X-Men in Doomsday, but I know 0 of them except for Deadpool, who literally can't die, it's going to be cool to see him, but it's going to be way less impactful as if I knew a couple of these characters, as if I'd seen them before. And I want to feel that impact because when Fantastic Four shows up in that movie, I'm going to feel that impact. I'm going to understand who Johnny is in this universe. I'm going to understand Vanessa Kirby's motherhood and protectiveness. I'm going to understand Reed Richards and how his intelligence works and all this other stuff that gives them the weight. And then if something bad happens to them in that movie, or they're in great peril or danger, the weight of that is going to be with me during that story. And I feel like with a lot of the lack of additional things to propel some of these characters forward, we're just not going to get that as much. And I agree with you on Spider-Man. I think it's going to be a fantastic film, but it only does the Spider-Man characters, and him kind of being the next true Iron Man-like character, potentially, is great, except that I think everybody forgets that nobody knows who he is anymore. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting thing to kind of navigate. And I'm excited about Doomsday. I am, because what a list of characters, and probably a bunch we haven't even heard of. But man, I wouldn't love what I wouldn't love for, and you're going to laugh when I say this because we've had private conversations where I bash this movie. So you're going to laugh. What I wouldn't love for a Civil War movie to bridge the gap. And I didn't like Civil War.
No. What are you talking about?
I didn't like Civil War, but even if it wasn't a great movie, I would still take a movie where I at least got to meet some of these characters. Just let me meet them. I just want to see them. I just want to see them.
Dude, maybe that's in the works and we just don't know about it. But no, but I see where everybody is coming from. They're like, how are they going to pull this off? They're having questions about it. They're asking Kevin Feige a ton of questions. He has to answer every single one of them. He's probably said more in the past 2 weeks than he's had in the last 4 years, which is kind of insane. Me and you were talking about, I was like, is there an interview out that we just missed or something? But at the same time, I kind of take the perspective of, listen, they had 2 really good projects. Screw the box office for Thunderbolts. If you watch Thunderbolts and you're like, oh yeah, that was a mid movie, what are we talking about here?
No, Thunderbolts may have been
needed.
No, not may have been. It is a top 5 movie this summer. It is a top 5 movie this summer, 100%. And so is Fantastic Four for that matter.
Exactly. So if I'm just looking at it from a Marvel perspective, and it's tough to see the future, and they're gonna have this big almost end game movie. We don't know how it's gonna be executed, how they're going to introduce these characters. Who knows? It might be for the X-Men, might be just a small portion of the story, and they may focus on the Fantastic Four more. But the fact that they did do great with the Fantastic Four and that people like this movie, it's going to really, I think, be the pillars that hold up Avengers Doomsday. Because they got the main characters that are involved with the villain correct, which is going to be amazing. That is awesome. And the fact that they did so well with the character development, that I cannot wait to see Avengers Doomsday and the Fantastic Four in Avengers Doomsday. But I understand where you're coming from. You kind of
Vanessa Kirby, who is clearly already done filming on Doomsday, did come out and comment that she said that Robert Downey's character as Doctor Doom is chilling. She said that he's putting on the acting performance of his entire career, and that she didn't even recognize him when he's in character because he's doing such a good job. He's so sinister. He's so intimidating. And so, if nothing else, you know that Robert Downey Jr. is going to turn in the performance of a lifetime, and these characters from Fantastic Four and from Thunderbolts are all going to turn in really great performances because we've seen them turn in great performances.
And it's just about, and when Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out, and then we get excited for that, and we're like, I cannot wait to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and possibly, the storylines that are going to come out of Avengers Doomsday. It's going to be interesting to think about, but I think if you just look at Fantastic Four as a movie by itself, it was a phenomenal movie. I loved every single second of it. I thought they killed it with Galactus, which is what I was kind of nervous about. Everyone was nervous about. And I'm glad they waited because they got the character right. There were stakes in the movie. The character development was amazing. And if you just look at it like, hey, listen, they got 2 projects back to back. Now we can build, but at the same time, you're building to probably one of the biggest projects that Marvel has ever produced. It's a little scary to think about because there's only one movie project in between that can bridge that gap. But if Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers come together and they really do think about how are we going to pull this off, you never know. They could pull off a miracle, and it could be absolutely amazing.
We'll cross our fingers.
That's what we're kind of crossing our fingers right now, but at the same time, I'm excited because I'm going to have at least like 2 groups of characters that I'm going to really care about. And if they can just nail the introductions to them, and if they can...
Well, and let's go back and discuss the characters that I mentioned earlier. Haley Steinfeld's character is a knockout. She rocked, and that does leave the door open for Hawkeye to return too. So those are characters that we know. America Chavez in Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange isn't dead. He's got a 3rd eye on his forehead right now, which is weird. But he's not dead, so he should appear in this film in some shape or form or another. Bruce Banner's still around, so we should get him. We should get the Marvels, including Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and I am forgetting the 3rd Marvel's name, but the pilot. And so there are some characters that we know. I think my encouragement, if there really isn't going to be another project in between, Marvel fans, go back and watch these projects. The last Doctor Strange movie was not great, but it's important because it's got America Chavez in it, who is going to be in this film. Go back and watch the Marvels movie, which we already commented is not a great movie, but go back and watch it because it'll have important characters in it. Go and watch the Hawkeye TV show because it's going to have some characters that are going to be upcoming in it. Re-immerse yourself, even though it's been a couple of years leading up to this, and I think that it could be good. But the other big thing, since we talked about Kevin Feige's interview, he did say that we're getting a hard reset in Secret Wars. And that's another thing that I'm really curious about because he didn't comment much more than that. And it seems like it's the culmination of Doctor Doom, but we don't know that either. But Thanos was broken up into 2 movies, so it seems logical that they would do Doomsday and then Secret Wars to do that. But it'll be interesting to see what he does with a hard reset of the universe. And fun little announcement, Chris Hemsworth not being hard reset. Kevin Feige's already come out and announced that he wants Chris Hemsworth playing Thor for at least the next 10 years. So potential for him to continue being in the universe well beyond whatever the hard reset is. So a lot of interesting things coming up with Marvel and a lot of things that raise a lot of questions, but could be really good things for Marvel if they execute it really well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for the future. Just the simple fact that they did good with Fantastic Four, I think is a good grounded state that they're in. And I think going forward, I think they realize, especially with the DCU having at least like the success of Superman and James Gunn coming out with all these projects, basically kind of having their own like Infinity Saga level of schedule, I think it was a reality check for them. And I think that's the reason why they did push a lot of projects back, because they wanted to focus on the quality. And when you see Marvel start focusing on their quality, it produces great movies and great characters that we really do care about. I get it. James Gunn was a focal point in sort of the style of a Marvel movie, but I think now Marvel's starting to find their footing without James Gunn. And that's kind of what I'm seeing in these last 2 projects. And I get it. Captain America, Brave New World was whatever, but
totally forgot about that movie, actually.
I know, it's awful. But if you just focus on Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, I think we're in a good state. And I wish this was sort of the beginning of the phase, but You know, we're at a state right now where they're rebuilding, and they're trying to get their footing again. And I think they've got their footing. They're starting to walk again. And I think they'll start running again with Spider-Man Brand New Day. And it's disappointing that it's coming out in the summertime and we're going to have to wait another year for another Marvel movie. But man, I'm patient. I can be patient. I can wait. And it's something that they're going to have to learn going forward that, listen, from Spider-Man Brand New Day and then from Avengers Doomsday, we have to come out with a project in spring, summer, and in the winter because we're just going to fall behind to these great projects that DCU is going to be coming out going forward.
I mean,
so the competition is there.
Yeah, DC's promised 2 live action movies, 2 animated movies, 2 live action shows, and 2 animated TV shows a year. And not saying that you need to match their level of production because I don't want you to just spit out projects. But if they're going to be doing 4 movies and 4 TV shows a year moving forward after the success of Superman, you got to at least do spring, summer, and winter. And maybe
Facts.
Throw a show as an in-betweener in between each of those seasons. And you have the characters, you have the quality. And after this movie, I mean, we haven't even talked about this yet, but how full was that theater? I mean, it might have been the most full theater that we went to the entire summer. And I mean, we had to actually wait on people to get out of the way to exit the theater, which is the first time we've had to do that all summer. I mean, people are excited about this stuff. They're going to the theater. I'm going to take credit for our podcast from that. You know, your reel that you put out telling people to get in the theater. It clearly worked. You know, people saw that and showed up to the theater. But like, people are excited. They want this stuff. And so I just, as we're going forward, and you see that people are getting excited and you see that we're recognizing that you're making good stuff again, let's ramp it up a little. Because I don't want Marvel to die out and I don't want DC to die out. What I want is for there to be like 6 hero movies a year that I can go see, 3 from Marvel and 3 from DC that I look at and go, those were all amazing movies and amazing stories. Because both of these studios are best when they're at their heights and making the best movies. When Christopher Nolan was doing Batman and Marvel was doing Iron Man. Hey, you know what? I'll go see Batman one week and then the next week I'll go see Iron Man. I love both of those characters and I'm hyped to be able to go see both. Let's get back to that. I want more of that.
We will. And I have a lot of hope for superhero movies because we haven't even like addressed this. I mean, superhero movies have been great this year. They've had been 3 fantastic superhero movies, and a lot of people have been, you know, talking about it on social media and stuff. It's like you get Thunderbolts, then you get Superman, and then you get Fantastic Four, and you watch those movies in one day when you have a day off or something. Watch those movies in order, and you will have you will have the best time ever. So, to be honest, it's been a great year for superhero movies, and we're only improving, and the competition is getting better. We finally get a DCU movie where it's like, this is it.
Thank you, James Gunn.
They're going to be able to build off this and make... Yes, they're going to be able to build off this and make future projects. So, I'm excited for the future. Okay, I'm happy that Fantastic Four did so good. I don't even think you need to discuss on which movie was better, Superman or Fantastic Four. To be honest, that's personal preference.
And I'm gonna caveat that with they're completely different movies at different stages.
Exactly.
DC's movie, Superman, is building a universe. Marvel's movie is extending a universe. So if we're really gonna compare movies, you need to compare Superman to like Iron Man or Superman to Captain America. And realistically, I think that stacks up. And unfortunately, there's not a good DC movie to compare Fantastic Four to because the DC is just starting back up again. I think they were both fantastic films, but I'm going to spin us back towards a singular focus for a second because I realize we got off on a bit of a track talking about the grander scale of everything. We never gave our reviews. So what is your review for Fantastic Four?
I noticed that immediately, and I was like, I'm just gonna roll with the punches here. I was like, we're just talking about the unit. We did, talk about like 28 minutes of Fantastic Four, and then got into.
This is what happens when you talk about Marvel projects: is you end up talking about the one project, and then it spins forward to everything else. That's where we are in this universe. But it's fun, and we're back to it. We're getting a review.
We're back to it. I'm gonna give Fantastic Four a 9.2. I thought it was great. I loved the family dynamic. I thought they casted this perfectly. I thought Pedro Pascal did a good job. And I thought the stakes and motive from the villain in Galactus and Franklin being a huge part of the film it elevated the movie so much. And I cared about the characters. I cared about the storyline. It was kind of one of the first Marvel films in a while since probably 2021, I would say, that where I'm like, oh my goodness, this story is keeping my attention from start to finish. And Thunderbolts gave me that as well. But at the end of the day, I think Marvel is gaining their footing when it comes to character development, storytelling, and making this a huge theatrical experience that we all know and love. So I think we're grounded. I think obviously I'm nervous because they don't have too many projects coming out in the future, but overall, Fantastic Four was an amazing time at the theater. I give it a 9.2. I think it's one of the best Marvel movies that they've come out with. I don't think it's like up there with some of the greats, but as a solo movie by itself, I love the universe. I love the set, and I more or less loved everything about the characters. So it was a great time at the theater. I loved it.
I'm going not quite to the 9.0 range because there are a couple of little complaints that I had. Mine's going to be an 8.8. One thing that we didn't talk about is the score for this film was incredible. They did a fantastic job. 3 out of the 4 characters were executed extremely well, and the Thing just kind of had to take a backseat for this movie, but that's fine. Some of the plot lines were a little overextended. Like, I wish they'd spent a little less time on the building of the transportation devices around the world and spent a little more time on some other things. But overall, it was a really great story. It was something that had me engaged from beginning to end. The introduction to the superheroes was quick but engaging, and they spent about as much time on it as you could have and done it in a great way. Pedro, your flowers once again, sir. You did a great job as Reed Richards. Vanessa Kirby with the standout performance of the movie as the mother of Marvel right now. Joseph Quinn with the most underrated and my favorite character in the movie in Johnny Storm. You absolutely killed it, and 100% my favorite character in the whole film. You executed Galactus fantastically. The weight of the world, the emotions, the connection, the family, the comedy, all of it was really good. I needed 20 more minutes of it, but it was still a great, great film, and I can't wait to see what Marvel's coming up with next.
Sick. Look at us. We're positive. We're talking positive about Marvel right now. This is insane.
It's a really great spot compared to the trailer preview that we did for Ironheart, which was a rather bleak look at Marvel. And even
I haven't even seen the show yet.
I still haven't seen the show either, and I need to because it's on my list, and she will likely be in Doomsday as well. And so here I am complaining about not knowing characters from Doomsday, and we haven't watched the show yet. So we'll watch the show.
It's okay.
We'll get to it, but man, I love being able to sit here and enjoy these movies. Such a great experience.
Yeah,
and I told you, this is what I did when I was a teenager. This takes me back. I remember getting home from Iron Man and talking about it with my friends for an hour and a half and just absolutely loving it. I like doing this. This is exactly what I want to do post a Marvel film. Keep it up, Marvel.
And, you know, we got in a little screaming match there about Reed Richards, but it's okay. You know, Pedro did a decent job, and, you know, I'm hyped. I'm hyped about it. But no, I'm really happy where the Marvel is right now. I mean, at least everyone has their questions about where they're going to go in the future, but I think they focused on quality now, and we got back-to-back good projects. Let's get it. Do you have anything else? I mean, like, I don't really have much else. I mean, I thought this was a great movie, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much else for it. The other note that we kind of didn't touch on too much was the weight of Downey. What do we think of Downey coming back? And what do we think of Downey being Doctor Doom? I mean, we talked a little about what Vanessa Kirby said about him, but I don't think we've actually talked about the idea of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. I mean, does that excite you? Or as Iron Man, do you wish they'd gone someone else? Or, I mean, do you think Downey's going to do a great job?
Here's my thing. They have... Like, Downey has posted so many little, like Easter eggs and stuff, like, on what they're going to do, and it has everyone, like, freaking out and talk. Like, I think in a couple days ago after Fantastic Four came out, he posted, like, a comic book of Iron Man and Doctor Doom facing off each other in Secret Wars, which is kind of crazy. But I'm personally, like, with how much money they paid him, like, I mean, I'm not excited about that, because I was like,
it blows the budget for that movie way wide.
We're losing money by the minute here. We're losing money by the minute here, and you just paid him a whole entire movie's worth. So I don't know about that, but no, I'm excited to see him back. I mean, he's one of the best actors of our generation, in my opinion. I mean, he carried Marvel on his back, and right when he saw it wasn't doing that good, and they asked him to come back, they were like, he immediately answered the call. And if you really look at it from, like, Doctor Doom as a character, we've seen some renditions of the character that are good, some bad, but I'm really excited to see him play this role. I mean, to see him play a villain is going to be something that we've never seen before.
Downey's not been a villain in much. I'm excited. He's not. I'm excited to see it.
He's never been like a bad guy, so it's to have him kind of dive into that sort of role is going to be insane. And I think he's going to pull it off because he cares about this so much. He cares about Marvel so much. He cares about the fans so much. I mean, he vouches for everyone. I think him taking Tom Holland under his wing was huge in his development as an actor. So I know the thing is, if he pulls this off perfectly, I just know Avengers Doomsday is going to be good, because those types of movies are only as good as your villain is.
The moment I'm waiting for in that movie that's got me a little goosebumpy right now is Doctor Doom taking off his mask right in front of Spider-Man. And Tom Holland's face as he sees it's Robert Downey Jr. and just the horror on his face and the evil smirk that's going to be on Downey's. I mean, that moment right there is already just going to be devastating. In my brain right now. If only they changed Ironheart to where it was his daughter. But whatever. But we're not going to go back to that again. It's fine. We're done with that.
But yeah, I can imagine it already as well. Like when Tom Holland gets on that studio, and I can only imagine when he does his press tour and he was doing scenes with like Robert Downey Jr. and he's like, listen guys, you guys don't know what you're in for. This man went all out. To hear his perspective, I think is going to be different than like a Vanessa Kirby, who obviously like is a great actress and like knows him very well. But I mean, when you have, basically your mentor acting and performing like he's
Well,
I'm probably going to give
and
off
to
one of his
have
best
your mentor
performances.
go
You're
from
gonna hear it.
like your best friend in the movie down to your most hated villain. I mean, oh my gosh, the kind of like you don't get those opportunities in your career to be able to go, yeah, so the guy that
Yeah.
mentored me actually played my mentor in a movie, and then like 3 movies later played the villain that was like literally the worst thing to happen to the universe ever. I mean, oh my gosh, like the kind of opportunity that is for Downey, for Tom Holland, it's really great. And if they execute it well, it's going to be the most bone-chilling moment of the entire movie.
I know. It will be very interesting to see. I mean, everyone's speculating on what they're going to do, and I honestly personally have like a few ideas of what they're going to do, but I mean, I think they're going to kill it. I think it's going to be a masterpiece. I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to carry it. I think if they focus more on because they kind of came out and said that like it's going to be more of like focus mainly on Doctor Doom, and you don't focus on introducing all these characters and stuff, like I get it. But if they're able to just focus on Doctor Doom and make it more or less a Doctor Doom story, I mean, it's going to be freaking phenomenal. It's going to be epic. So it'll be crazy. I hope they can do it as good as they did with Thanos. And if they do, they just set themselves up with a million projects down in the future. So don't mess this up. Don't. Because I'm giving you a lot of praise right now. I'm like, you're going back to back. But if they mess it up, I'm going to be pissed.
I mean, I think the entire Marvel fan base will be. So this is a huge, huge undertaking of a project for you. And as of right now, there's about 30 characters listed. That's not even the unconfirmed characters. So it's ridiculous. Huge movie. So stick with it. Let's make this the best project since Endgame, and, kill it. And on other fronts, we're taking Brett to his next most horrifying movie.
Oh my goodness.
It'll be fine. You actually asked me if we were going to go see this movie, so I don't even want to hear about it. The Community star and one of the Franco brothers star in a movie that is a category we haven't been to yet, a body horror, and it looks like the most disturbing and interesting movie of the entire summer in that category. So we'll be doing that, as well as spinning forward other news about DC announcements. We're going to find that Kevin Feige interview and listen to it, and we'll break that down for you as well. And upcoming, we haven't talked about it yet, but we will be soon. The Odyssey has a trailer and is selling out theaters, and the movie doesn't come out for a year. And we're going to talk about that too.
It's going to be epic. So, yeah, I'm hyped about the future of cinema. Let's go.